So, the Mayan calendar and what the heck is going on? I'm not going deep into the depths of the Mayan calendar, but what I'm doing is focusing on what we're going through now, and especially everything of what we're hearing, so that you can go away from here tonight and go, I get it. So where are we going tonight? We're going to talk about the precession of the equinox. We're going to talk about the world ages. We're going to talk about the Mayan calendar, prophecies, and then we're going to tie it all together. As I'm going through these things, I'm going to be saying, remember this, or take a look at this picture and kind of burn it into your head, because I really am guiding you through a path so that we'll be putting it all together, so that at the end, hopefully you'll walk out here tonight going, I get what's going on. Okay? So the precession of the equinox. What the heck is the precession of the equinox? Has everybody heard of it?
No.
No. I heard a no, so good. So this, does everybody know what this is? Yeah, this is our home. This is the Milky Way. This is our galaxy. And you are here. And our solar system actually travels around the Milky Way. It travels around our galaxy, and it takes 250 million years to make that one cycle. And also I want to tell you just a little note here. Everything that we're talking about tonight are cycles, okay? And what do cycles do? They keep going. Okay, so that's a little clue that the Mayan calendar, this whole end of the Mayan calendar thing,
Right.
yeah.
It'll start up again.
And so there you go. So while we're going around the solar system, and while we're taking this 250 million year journey, our Earth actually has a wobble. And it's about 26,000 years. So our North Pole axis actually moves around, okay? And that moving, we're actually pointing at different stars. And as we're pointing at the different stars, we're going through different signs of the zodiac, okay? This is the first picture that I'm going to ask you to kind of burn into your head. We're going to see this again near the very end, okay? And I'm going to add a little bit to it at the end. Got it? See, somebody's drawing. Got it? It's burned?
Burned.
Burned. Okay. And remember the center of the galaxy. And this is much closer to the actual time that it takes to make that full wobble. So as I said, what we're doing is we point through the different zodiacs. And each age is about 2,152 years long.
Like the age of Aquarius that we wrote songs about years ago.
And who, do you know who performed that, the age of Aquarius?
I was going to say Fifth Dimension.
It's the Fifth Dimension. Isn't that ironic? It wasn't like the Bee Gees or the Platters. It was the Fifth Dimension. So, Deborah, you're already ahead of us. So we're going to go way back in time. The age of Gemini, which was about 6900 BC to 4700 BC, and that was for the communication and the writing. That's what we established back then. This is when we see the petroglyphs in the caves and the stone writings. Also, the earliest forms of the zodiac showed Adam and Eve as the twins, or the Gemini. For any of you that play along and read Sitchin's books or know anything about Nibiru or the Sumerians, this whole timeline of the zodiac and Adam and Eve tie right into this procession that we go through as well. And the next was the age of Taurus. And if you'll notice, we actually go backwards through the ages. So it's about 4700 BC to 2500 BC. And this was a time of controlling earth and agriculture. This is when we stopped being nomads and we actually settled down in one place. We learned how to cultivate the land. And it's, interestingly enough, if you go back to the Sumerians again, this is about the same timeline that they say that they pushed out the Adama, or Adam and Eve, from the Garden of Eden and taught them how to cultivate the earth. So this goes right in with the timeline that the Sumerians and Sitchin tell us about that. The age of Aries, 2500 to 300 BC, wars, violence, and conquest. This is when we started not only settling our little cities, but conquering other cities and taking it and saying, I want to rule this. This was the age of Aries, and for any of you that really get into the zodiac signs, you know that this is all about warring. So as we're going through and we're pointing at these stars and we're going through these energies, we're actually feeling those effects on our planet here, okay? Also, if we go back to Moses and the Bible, it's right around this time as well. They say that Moses actually ushered in the age of Aries. Remember the story about when he came down from the mountain and he was so upset and he he smashed the statue of the bull, and he told him, get rid of that statue and put the horns up on the ram's horns up on your doors. He knew that it was a time that we were changing through. Okay. So now we're coming forward, age of Pisces, 300 BC to somewhere in the 1900s, somewhere around now. There's a lot of controversy over exactly when this ends. Okay, beginning the age of big religions. Now, we all know what Pisces stands for, right? It's the fish. And if we think of the sign of Jesus in the fish, the little fish, this is the sign of religion. And again, it goes right in alignment with our precession, with the ages. And Deborah, what comes next after this one?
Oh, the Aquarius.
This is when we can all start singing now. This is the dawning of the age of Aquarius. Right? So, and this is said to bring enlightenment and personal freedom. Now, as you can see, there's not an exact day on here. You know, January 1st of 6901 BC is when we went into it. There's a lot of conjecture over exactly when we transition. And because the Earth is so big, the stars, the galaxy is so big, nobody knows exactly when we go through this transition. And it's more of a zone rather than a day. Although I will tell you that the consensus is that folks are looking at going through this dawn of the age of Aquarius on March 21st of next year, of 2012. So we're coming into this time. But more importantly, do you feel like we're moving into a different time? I mean, think about the big religions and think about the 1600s, the 1700s, the 1800s, and even early 1900s. The big religions were ruling the planet. They were ruling our consciousness. They were ruling what we were doing and the way that we even behaved in our families. And look at how much it's changed. I mean, think about, we wouldn't be able to gather like this in the 1800s or the 1700s and talk about such obscure things.
We would have been rich. We would have had to take you out.
That's right. That's right. Burn me at the stake if I happen to say that the Earth wasn't the center of the universe in the 1600s, right? You know, I mean, we're really moving now fairly rapidly. So the main reason that I'm showing you this is that I'm showing you the history of where we've been, and I want you to see what we're moving towards. It's a time of enlightenment and personal freedom, okay? So when we're hearing about the end of the Mayan calendar and gloom and doom, you have to make a choice whether you buy into it or you look at it from another perspective. And my whole mission here is to try and maybe give you another perspective to look at. So the precession of the equinox, okay, we're still talking about the Mayas saw the precession, okay, so this wobble, as 5 cycles or 5 world ages. And notice that I underlined 5,125 years. We're going to see that again. That's the same timeline for their long count calendar. Okay, and we're going to go over that. But they see them as world ages. And they tell us that we've been through fire, earth, air, water, which for any of you that follow the zodiac, each of the zodiac are affiliated with one of the elements. They tell us now, though, that we're moving into the age of ether. And the ether is what the heavenly bodies are made up of. Does that sound like a bad place to move into, a bad age? So the Aztec, and by the way, this is the Aztec calendar. It's a little bit different than the Mayan calendar, but a lot of their philosophies are the same. So we're going to be going through this calendar. And one of the things that they say is that these outer rings represent two serpents that came down the tree of life to form our world. And we're going to be going through each of these. Each of these represents a world age, including this and including this. And if you do a quick count, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, we can also surmise that we're not coming to the end of our world, because why would we be coming to the end of our world if they still have more world ages coming up, right? And this is another picture that I'm throwing in there, and I'm not going to tell you where this is yet, but I want you to remember it. And what this represents is Cortez, and you can see the Aztec calendar in the background, right? So remember that, because we're going to get back to this, okay? So we're going to talk about what this Aztec calendar represents, okay? But remember that picture.
Okay, that's nice.
Okay, thank you.